It has happened again. An apparent gas explosion in the East Village leaves 4 people in critical condition, several buildings destroyed. What went wrong? The call starts now. Thanks for joining the call, the first interactive newscast where you tell us what's news. I'm John Schumo. An apparent gas explosion and fire rips through several buildings in the East Village, injuring a dozen people. New York One's Lori Chung joins us live from the scene with the very latest. Good evening, Lori.
Good evening, John. Firefighters have made significant progress throughout the day since this happened, but we're going to give you a sense of exactly what they've been up against. Very significant damage to these 4 buildings involved in this apparent gas explosion. You can see one building completely destroyed, only the facade left. And at the base of that building, just a pile of rubble. This happened around 3:17. That's when fire officials say they got the call, and firefighters got here 3 minutes later. This climbed up to 7 alarms. Officials say there was plumbing and gas work being done at 121 2nd Avenue. Apparently, that's what this is stemmed from. There was some sort of explosion, and that explosion led to the collapse of 123 2nd Avenue. 121 partially collapsed. 119 also significantly damaged as well, and 125 2nd Avenue also sustained significant damage. But this is a huge emergency response here. 19 people injured in all, 4 of them critical, but fortunately so far no fatalities have been reported in this 7-alarm fire that brought 250 firefighters out. We're told earlier that there was a large bang. People describe hearing a bang, some sort of explosion, and then chaos. Officials say that there was a Con Ed crew here about an hour and a half before the explosion here. They were reviewing work that was being done by those contractors at 121 2nd Avenue. Apparently that work did not pass muster. There was some sort of issue. They were given recommendations, those contractors, to bring that work up to code before that Con Ed crew left. In about an hour and a half, again, that explosion happened. Now, Mayor de Blasio was here on the scene earlier today with fire and police officials and officials from Con Ed as well to give an update on the investigation so far with some preliminary information, but they did give that update. Take a listen.
Our thoughts and our prayers are with every one of them and their families, and of course we are praying that no other individuals are found injured and that there are no fatalities.
What we do know is that some work was going on in the building at the time prior to the explosion. When our members arrived, some of the folks had self-evacuated, of course, and they were taking care of first aid, and we looked for additional victims.
Now, you can imagine some terrifying moments for those who were in the area at the time. We did get some cell phone video from a man who happened to be walking past those buildings moments before that explosion happened. He sent us that video and capturing the moments right after, people describing that loud bang and then chaos you see there. He says he saw contractors, men who looked like they were working, running in and out of one of those buildings right before the explosion happened. But he said while he was walking by, he did smell gas.
I saw some guys running back and forth who looked like building supers, and basically they're running in the residential entrance of the building, exiting, and running in the Japanese restaurant, back and forth. And anybody running through a restaurant is kind of weird, but then instantaneously I smelled gas, and on the street, you know something's wrong. So I thought they were fixing something, a leak, and then just walked to the street. 15 seconds, half a block later, bam, right behind me, turn around, and just saw all the smoke and debris fly out.
So again, 19 people injured here, 4 of them critically injured. Officials saying this is gas related, but they are still investigating to see exactly what led up to it. It is not clear that the work that the contractors were doing earlier, that the Con Ed crew inspected, had anything to do with the explosion. That's what officials are trying to sort out. That's the very latest from here. Lori Chung, John, I'm going to send it back to you.
Lori, it may be hard to tell from your vantage point, but is there still a fire burning? What are the crews doing behind you? Can you even tell?
At this point, they have the water on what is left of those buildings. They've been focused for much of the night on the building closest to us, 119 2nd Avenue. The hoses now seem to have turned their attention to 123, or what's left of 123 2nd Avenue. That's where the hoses are now. We saw firefighters and emergency personnel bring in some barricades. They're going to continue to close that area off while they try to knock this down. But it seems at this point that they've got most of the hot spots out. It was much smokier out here earlier in the evening. We're at a point now where we can finally breathe, where the air is actually clear. They're backing up some of the trucks out of this area. So they have made progress in getting this under control, John.
Lori Chung reporting live for us. Lori, thank you very much. We continue our live coverage and are joined now by Michael Herzenberg, who's also been on the scene talking with witnesses. Michael, it's a busy neighborhood at any hour of any day. What are the New Yorkers telling you?
Well, John, people are certainly, a lot of people walking around, watching, looking at this, but things have calmed down quite a bit. There are still hundreds of firefighters out here and dozens of Con Ed workers. Sources tell us Con Ed workers believe that they have shut off all the gas now in the immediate area of where this happened. There were multiple loud noises when this happened. At least one of them was an explosion, but what the others were depends on who you speak with. We spoke with one man who was about a block away. He was inside his restaurant and he heard a noise. He thought a car had run into a building and he came outside to check.
We came out this side and went outside and saw that side, the blast from the restaurant. And when I come running to that restaurant, close to the restaurant, I saw the whole storefront came out of the street. And I saw a couple of people lying on the street and 2 or 3 people heavily injured, blood all over on the other side of the street.
Another man said it sounded like tons of bricks falling 5 stories. He said that was after that explosion, and he said he watched the fire creep around outside from 2nd Avenue over to 7th Street. Firefighters, once they got here and started dousing this, they expanded the perimeter for fear of further collapse. 4 buildings were involved. We're told by emergency officials the 3 on either side, both sides of those buildings, have been evacuated as a precaution. There are right now no reports of anyone missing, but first responders will have to search the scene as a precaution, but they can't do that yet.
We can't do a search in there until the fire is out, until FD says, hey, it's safe to go in there. It'll probably mean knocking down the rest of that building. And then at one point when the fire is out, we'll have to go in and search for possible people that are in there.
Several streets and avenues still remain closed around here, and I just a few minutes ago asked a firefighter, hey, you got it out yet? And he said, days. It'll take days to get this completely extinguished. That's the story from the East Village. Michael Herzenberg, New York 1. John, back to you.
Michael, I haven't heard anything on my end. I know you're out in the field and sometimes information is hard to get to you, but I haven't seen anywhere any reason to believe that someone is even inside any of the buildings. Have you heard otherwise?
About an hour ago now, I spoke with the Commissioner of Emergency Management, and he said that at that point there were no reports of anyone missing, but they still, once all of this is finished, are going to have to get in there and bring in dogs and make sure of that.
Michael Herzenberg reporting live for us from the East Village. Michael, thank you. So what's your reaction to this gas explosion? If you live in the area, what did you see? What did you hear? What questions do you want answered in this investigation? Call 866-NY1-TALK to join the conversation. That's 691-8255. You can also email the call at ny1.com, tweet us at ny1thecall, or post your comments on our Facebook page wall. Remember, all we ask for is your first name and neighborhood. We'll take a break and hear from you next. Many of our viewers have already been sending us their thoughts, including Bruce from Manhattan's Upper West Side. Bruce emailed earlier, this incident should be a wake-up call to the powers that be at City Hall and in Albany, but the need for infrastructure inspection and repair and replacement cannot be put off much longer without serious risk to the city's population and its economy. Do you agree with Bruce? How concerned are you about a similar incident happening where you live? Your calls, emails, and tweets are all next on The Call.
Preliminary evidence suggests a gas-related explosion. That investigation is ongoing. The initial impact appears to have been caused by plumbing and gas work that was occurring inside 121 2nd Avenue. Preliminary information is Con Ed inspectors arrived at the site earlier for a separate reason entirely, found the work to be unacceptable, gave instructions as to what changes were needed, and that was an hour or more before the explosion.
Join the conversation. Call 1-866-NY1-TALK. Email the call at ny1.com or tweet us at ny1thecall.
Yo soy cubana.
Con calor.
I'm Chilean.
Chimpum. Callao.
Habla serio.
I'm Dominican.
I'm a proud Puerto Rican.
Qué berraquera.
Yo soy española.
Órale.
Soy boricua.
Azúcar.
¿Y qué lo que?
Tato.
¿Mande?
I live in Queens.
Yo vivo en Harlem.
I live in the Bronx.
¡Ay, bendito!
I live in Manhattan.
Soy de Nueva York.
I'm a New Yorker.
Yo soy un New Yorker.
En Nueva York, los latinos somos uno.
Latinos are one.
Are one.
Somos uno.
In New York, Latinos are one.
Whoever said getting there is half the fun? Never experienced rush hour in New York City. But for the rest of us, there's the Rail and Road Report on New York One. We can't make it fun, but we can make it easier with up-to-the-minute transit and traffic information. The Rail and Road Report, morning and evening rush hours at 8 and 38 past the hour on Time Warner Cable News, New York One.
Now on Local On Demand. Dramas, comedies, dramedies, action, thrillers, and more. There are hundreds of movies to choose from. Watch Talking Pictures On Demand for your inside guide to the best movies readily available on Time Warner Cable.
I'm Neil Rose. Join me with my movie critic friends as we explore some of the best movies for you to enjoy on demand.
Talking Pictures On Demand. Watch it now on Time Warner Cable Local On Demand. The New York Times Close Up. Saturday nights at 10 and Sunday mornings at 10. Only on Time Warner Cable News, New York One. Looking for an 11 o'clock newscast? You've got plenty of choices. But if you're looking for a newscast that only reports on New York City, there's only one choice. Get the news you want from all 5 boroughs. Time Warner Cable News, New York One at 11. Looking for an 11 o'clock newscast that only reports on New York City? There's only one choice. Time Warner Cable News, New York One at 11.
Welcome back to The Call. I'm John Schumo. The explosion happened inside 121 2nd Avenue and fire engulfed 3 neighboring buildings. Con Edison investigators were on the scene an hour before the explosion. Work being done by private contractors failed their inspection. A short time later, devastation. What's your reaction to this apparent gas explosion? What questions do you want answered? If you live in the area, what did you see? What did you hear? How concerned are you about a gas-related incident where you live? Call us toll-free at 866-NY1-TALK. That's 691-8255. Email your thoughts and maybe some pictures to thecall@ny1.com or tweet them to at NY1 The Call. You can also post your comments on our Facebook page wall. All we ask for is your first name and neighborhood. Let's go to the phone, hear what our fellow New Yorkers have to say. Stacy is in the East Village and starts the conversation off for us tonight. Stacy, were you in your neighborhood around 3 this afternoon?
I got there shortly after. I live a few houses down on 7th Street in a building that is also being it's being gentrified. So we are very concerned about having contractors not do proper work in buildings. I know in my apartment, a pipe was wedged through my bathroom ceiling, and it was 12 inches away from a gas line. This could have been, I actually thought this was my building when I got the notice from on my phone. I really thought this was my building that came down, because we have walls that are bulging, cracks in our walls, and we have a lot of pipe work being done. It's happening all through the village.
So it doesn't sound like you thought it was your building. So I'm assuming your reaction was then one that was not of surprise. You expect this because your neighborhood's been changing and it's probably been changing on the cheap.
I expected this. I called everybody to say I was on a train and I wasn't there. I was on my way there. Yeah, I really thought it was our building that went down.
Take me back.
That's how bad it is.
Yeah, take me back to when you first walked on the scene. What did you see? What did you hear?
Oh my God, it was like September 11th. It was like September 11th. I am only a short distance away from that corner. I mean, it was showing your ID to get to your building. The hallway filled with smoke. Wearing a mask to leave. It's just how tragic, how terrible for those people.
And you're there now? I'm assuming you're home now?
No,
you're calling from home, or you can't be there? Okay.
I can't be there. No, I couldn't be there. I went. I had a friend come in with me to take some things out, close windows because the apartment would fill with smoke, and I really thought that it was my building that came down.
Is there any indication when you can go back to your building? Are you leaving because you have to leave, or are you leaving by choice?
I don't know if they're going to turn the gas off. At one point, they said they were turning the gas off on one side of 7th Street, not on the other side of 7th Street. And then they switched that. They said there's a possibility they were going to turn gas off on both sides of 7th Street. This is the real price of gentrification. These are wood buildings, and you are moving around pipes to put in jacuzzis and dishwashers in old tenement buildings that simply can't withstand this kind of construction work. And I wish the DOB and HPD would get the wake-up call that they need to actually do their jobs and issue violations, because they don't.
Stacy in the East Village. Stacy, thank you for calling up and sharing that perspective with us. Francis, maybe your close neighbor in the East Village, agrees with you. Francis has just emailed, "It is horrifying, and I'll bet it was caused by somebody trying to do something on the cheap. Cheap and illegal is the way of New York City these days." Francis, also in the East Village. Ralph in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. "I can't remember hearing of so many gas explosions recently in New York City. God knows how old the gas pipes are underground, as are the water main pipes. Most of these pipes were installed in the beginning of the 20th century and never replaced until there's a tragedy. That said, we have a lot of work to do." Ralph in Bay Ridge. Again, it's a couple of hours old, this explosion. We don't know the exact cause just yet. We do know Con Ed inspectors were on the scene. They were there checking on a planned gas meter installation, work that was already scheduled, work that was underway. They decided the building wasn't ready for gas to be introduced. They told the private contractors some more needed to be done. They gave further instruction on what needed to be done. It did not pass inspection. Then an hour and 17 minutes or so, someone called 911 because the explosion had just happened. No one called 911 to report the smell of gas, by the way, before the blast. We'll take a break. More of your thoughts when the call continues.
This first call came in at 17 minutes after 3, and our members arrived in less than 3 minutes to a scene they certainly didn't expect. The scene of this explosion blew the front of 121 across the street. They, for the first 15 minutes before the building started to collapse, made extremely dangerous searches of these buildings to search for any victims.
Join the conversation. Call 1-866-NY1-TALK or email thecall@ny1.com.
Closed captioning is sponsored by 1-800-GOT-JUG for home and office. Your local political news is just keystrokes away at ny1.com/politics. Check up on what's happening with your local elected officials or political campaigns using your phone, tablet, or computer. ny1.com/politics.
No matter how perfect the weather may be, that can change in the blink of an eye. That's why Time Warner Cable News New York 1 has weather every 10 minutes. When you need the weather, we have the weather. Time Warner Cable News, your 24-hour local news channel, has weather every 10 minutes on the ones. 1 after, 11 after, 21 after. You get it. Your next local forecast is just a few minutes away. Weather on the ones, only on Time Warner Cable News New York 1.
Yo soy cubana.
Con calor.
I'm Chilean.
Chimpum, Callao.
Habla serio.
I'm Dominican.
I'm a proud Puerto Rican.
Qué berraquera.
Yo soy española.
Órale.
Soy boricua.
Azúcar.
¿Y qué lo que?
Tato.
¿Mande?
I live in Queens.
Yo vivo en Harlem.
I live in the Bronx.
Ay, bendito.
I live in Manhattan.
Soy de Nueva York.
I'm a New Yorker.
Yo soy un New Yorker.
En Nueva York, los latinos somos uno.
Latinos are one.
Are one.
Somos uno.
In New York, Latinos are one.
They say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But if that doesn't work, it's good to be a patient in the know. Monday through Wednesday on Time Warner Cable News New York 1, we'll update you on the latest medical breakthroughs and the newest medications. Plus, a look at advancements in technology, what's happening in healthcare, hospitals, and health insurance. It's just what the doctor ordered. The Health and Medicine Report, Monday through Wednesday on Time Warner Cable News New York 1.
The New York Times Close Up, Saturday nights at 10 and Sunday mornings at 10, only on Time Warner Cable News New York 1.
We were at the building earlier today, 2 p.m. approximately, preliminarily. We were evaluating the meter installation for a new service that was going to be installed to the building. There was also a second existing service there. The new installation did not pass our inspection at that time, so it meant it wasn't ready for gas to be introduced.
Welcome back to the call. I'm John Schumer. Let's go right back to the phones. Joe is in the East Village. Joe, how far away from you, were you close by at 3 o'clock? Where were you?
Well, yeah, I was right by on 3 o'clock. I was on the roof of my building right down the street.
What did you see? What did you hear?
Well, we're film students at NYU, and we were just filming a project up there, and all of a sudden we see like a big fireball basically go up.
And your first reaction?
Yeah, we were really close to the action. Right when we saw the fireball, actually my friend's leaving for the dentist at the time, and he goes downstairs, and he's basically standing on the corner across from it right as the first fire truck pulls up.
Have you ever smelled gas, the odor of gas, in this area before? Our first caller seemed to indicate...
Actually, yeah, we did. The other day, the super was just coming through the building and talking about how the building smelled like gas. So we think that was just someone who left their stove on.
All right. Joe in the East Village, scary moments perhaps for you. Joe, thanks for sharing your perspective. Julian on the Upper East Side emails, I will never forget being a 4-year-old in my first apartment. My mother smelled gas, called Con Ed. They showed up and shrugged her off. She pressed the matter. They eventually found a huge leak, and this was in a high-rise. Since then, I have reported leaks that I've smelled at least 5 times, once with FDNY involvement. People need to realize how old these pipes are. They should start a new campaign. If you smell something, say something. Julian on the Upper East. Kathy is in Sunnyside and joins the call. Kathy, what questions do you want answered in this investigation?
Well, questions, yeah, but actually just reporting. You know, I live on 45th in Sunnyside, and we are in the process, actually maybe tomorrow, Con Edison is going to visit this building and inspect what their vendor has done. The vendor is called Hawkeye. They've hired this company to do the gas installations on 45th and 46th Street. And what's happened is the way the pipes are configured outside these buildings in Sunnyside, mine included, and 4 buildings on 46th Street and one another one in the neighborhood. So what I'm saying is this is the design. These pipes are exposed. I mean, they're taller than I am, 5 feet. They have, you know, pressure gauges on them, and I've questioned this. And I was told that, oh, well, those are DOB specs and, you know, Con Edison. In other words, it's okay. The pipes have been installed on these buildings for months, and Con Edison has yet to turn on the gas. The pipes are rusting. And I was told that, well, they can't take preventive measures on, you know, to allay the rust because the code is you can't touch those pipes until they're ready to go. In other words, you can't tamper with them.
Right. I guess, will you be around tomorrow when they come, or are you going to leave?
Well, I'm really, you know, I'm wondering, and this is not like just one building. It's the way they've done this in Sunnyside. Right. And I'm very concerned. And why did the Department of Buildings allow this, and Con Edison too?
Kathy in Sunnyside. Kathy, thank you for that story. It's not just about the East Village, is her point tonight. A couple folks sending pictures along. Let's go to our Twitter page. Ty on Twitter sends this picture from Astor Place in the East Village, described as just minutes after the blast on 2nd Avenue. And Ty also sent this picture in, and I'll show it because it's some good news. The restaurant Fresh & Co. donated dinner and drinks to the fire department at the building collapse earlier this evening in the East Village. Ty, thank you for the pictures. A quick email from Regina in Williamsburg. I'm a real estate agent in the city, and I have to say that rents in the East Village are outrageous. $3,500 for a 1-bedroom in an old walk-up. In order to get these rents, many landlords are renovating these apartments only on the outside, meaning walls, dishwashers, fancy tiles, but no work is really being done structurally. So not only is this unaffordable for most New Yorkers, it's also very unsafe, and worse, it goes unseen for most of us. The city needs regulation on these high disproportionate rents in super old walk-up buildings. Regina, the real estate agent in Williamsburg. Regina, thanks. Coming up on the half hour, I got to step aside. More of your thoughts when we return.
In a city with as many papers as New York, nobody has time to read them all, except for us.
Here's a look at what's in the morning papers.
We comb the papers from front to back to scope out the stories we think will catch your interest.
We want to start with the daily news.
And they're not always the headlines.
An interesting follow-up story in the paper this morning. It's on page 18.
Join us every morning for an inside look of what's in the papers. In the Papers is only available on Time Warner Cable News, New York 1.
For people who say there's never enough time, there's the New York 1 Minute. Every half hour, we update you on the latest local news, bundled up into a quick 60 seconds.
Hi, Romatori.
I'm Booth Donnelly here, the latest in the New York 1 Minute.
When you need a concise news update to get you through the day, turn to the New York 1 Minute. We give you the news with time to spare. only on Time Warner Cable News, New York 1.
In New York City, cool creative events are just a train ride away.
I'm Stephanie Simon, here to show you all the fun, cultural, and creative events around town.
Every Monday and Friday, we travel around the city highlighting all things artistic found throughout the 5 boroughs. Arts and culture, Mondays and Fridays on Time Warner Cable News, New York 1. Get a front row seat to New York's music scene, from mainstream musicians to underground artists and everything in between. Every Tuesday and Wednesday on Time Warner Cable News. We bring you album and concert reviews, music festivals, backstage access, and exclusive interviews.
That's my favorite music. Those late 60s when you had rock meeting pop.
We keep our ear to the streets when covering special music events around the city. Sound Advice, Tuesdays and Wednesdays on Time Warner Cable News, New York 1.
Watch Inside City Hall, weeknights at 7 and 10 on Time Warner Cable News, New York 1.
Welcome back to The Call. I'm John Schumo. If you're curious to see how today's stories ranked, you can visit ny1.com. We want to quickly return to our topic, the apparent gas explosion in the East Village. Dozens of residents have been displaced. New York 1's Lindsay Christ joins us now live from PS 63, where the Red Cross has been assisting people. Good evening to you, Lindsay. What's the scene there?
Good evening, John. Well, the American Red Cross immediately set up camp here late this afternoon here at PS 63, which, as you said, is just a few blocks away from the site of the explosion. This school is actually reserved to be an emergency site if needed. So the principal told me that she got the call right away and was told that she was going to have to get students out of the building as quickly as possible. So she called parents who had after school, and they transformed this building into an emergency site. The City Office of Emergency Management is here. FEMA is here. They say they believe 49 apartment units were impacted, but several other buildings on that block right now, people are not able to get home. So there's a lot of people who are not able to get home this minute. Families, individuals, roommates have been trickling into the site. Many of them have dogs on hand, and the city's animal care and control offices are here now to help deal with that. We spoke with Josh Lockwood, who's the regional CEO of the American Red Cross, and he says they're here to provide a variety of services.
After this terrible explosion today in the East Village, the American Red Cross has set up a reception center with PS 63, and the local principal and everyone have been incredibly gracious. We're receiving people who are affected by this disaster, offering mental health support, comfort, temporary lodging, food, and replacement clothing.
A lot of the people who have been arriving at this center here tonight were at work when the explosion happened and came home to find that their apartment was either gone or was unable to be accessed or potentially severely damaged. The number of people has sort of been increasing as the evening goes on, but the Red Cross has been taking a lot of people's phone numbers and saying they'll be in touch with them when plans become more firm. So people then have been heading out back into the neighborhood to get food or just to take a walk. The first two to register this afternoon were roommates who were actually coincidentally home when the explosion happened. After having a work lunch, they'd swung back to their apartment, and they had a very harrowing story about that. And many other people, though, have said that they don't know where they're going to stay tonight.
We were at lunch. Came home for a 10-minute kind of break to change and go to the gym. And we just heard a big boom. We felt it as well. And it was just, we thought it was an earthquake. And so we ran down. We saw the damage that had been done. We ran back upstairs, grabbed our purses, grabbed, obviously, the dog, and ran back downstairs to kind of assess the situation a little bit better. And it was just... it was just crazy.
We have to come back here to the Red Cross to see what they are able to do. They don't know yet because they have to, find out how many people are in need of homes, to a place to stay and all that, and for how long.
So this shelter site is 121 East 3rd Street, and it's the school PS 63, and that's where the Red Cross is set up. So, John, they say that they've had about 30 individuals register so far here today. They're not sure where they're going to be putting people yet tonight. They're trying to figure that out still. A lot of people have found housing with friends or relatives. Some hotels, the East Village Standard has offered to put people up who have proof of address and are in one of those 4 very impacted buildings. They'll put them up for 3 nights. Obviously, those people will need more than just a few nights of stay, though, so they'll have to figure out some long-term options. And then everybody who lives in the surrounding area and hasn't been able to get back to their apartments are trying to figure out right now what to do. One of the sadder stories we've heard so far tonight was a couple who lost their dog during the mayhem of it all. And they showed up here asking if anyone had heard of their dog. Animal Care and Controls here. They walked out without an answer, just looking absolutely devastated. So there's some really sad stories as people are kind of coming to grips with this disaster.
Lindsay Chris reporting live for us from the East Village. Lindsay, thank you very much for that report. What's your reaction to today's events? Let's go back to the phones now, hear from Kelly, who joins us from the Lower East Side. Kelly, what's your reaction to this gas explosion, apparent gas explosion?
Well, you know, I've called Con Edison recently because I smelled gas. Whenever I smell gas, I call immediately, and you know, I'm very nervous about that because this happens to be a fire escape building, which means that it's not fireproof, and you know, I always worry that, you know, if something could happen. And I think people just really need to be proactive in terms of making sure that they have that their management is doing what they're supposed to be doing with these buildings, because I don't know, maybe it's my imagination, but I feel like after Hurricane Sandy, Con Edison trucks have been everywhere. There's some sort of construction going on almost everywhere around here. And I don't know, it could be that the infrastructure everywhere is just, you know, very old, and maybe they're doing stuff to replace it. They're fixing things, but it's just very scary, and I feel very sorry that this happened to these people.
Kelly on the Lower East. Kelly, thank you. A few miles north, Jen is watching in Kips Bay. Jen, how concerned are you about a gas-related incident where you live?
Concerned because everywhere you turn, they're digging up, they're doing reconstruction. You don't know if these people are licensed, and it's a scary feeling. And it also gives you something to think about. I wasn't aware that this happened, and I usually am in the area. But it's just scary. My heart goes out to those people and my prayers. But something needs to be done with the people constantly. They digging, and you're just not sure whether or not everybody's complying like they should with all the right credentials.
Jen in Kips Bay. It's a sentiment echoed by several callers tonight. Ahmad's in the East Village and joins the call. Ahmad, do you share that concern? Have you ever called a 911 to report the smell of gas in your neighborhood? Ahmad, if you mute the TV and just listen to me on the phone, you won't have that delay. Have you ever?
Yes. I always report when as soon as I smell it, because I don't take chances.
How frequently does that happen to you?
Okay.
If you hit mute on the TV, I'm curious to know what was your reaction today when you heard about the explosion in your neighborhood?
I was walking by and I missed it by 2 minutes.
But so I'm assuming you heard it then, if you were still in the vicinity. After you heard the explosion, what did you do?
Yes. I missed it by 2 minutes, and yeah. Yes.
Okay, Ahmad, thank you for your phone call. Again, in the future, if you call up, just hit the mute button on your TV and you won't have that delay. We'll take a break. More of your thoughts when the call continues.
Join the conversation. Call 1-866-NY1-TALK or email thecall@ny1.com.
Food, drink, fun. When it comes to dining out in New York City, your choices are limitless. Every Monday on Time Warner Cable News New York 1, Zagat's food editors travel the 5 boroughs, discovering shops and restaurants full of delicacies. Let's eat, Mondays on Time Warner Cable News New York 1.
Every Tuesday and Thursday on Time Warner Cable News, get plugged into the latest discoveries on the tech horizon on Tech Talk. Every Tuesday and Thursday on New York 1.
They say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. But if that doesn't work, it's good to be a patient in the know. Monday through Wednesday on Time Warner Cable News New York 1, we'll update you on the latest medical breakthroughs and the newest medications. Plus, a look at advancements in technology, what's happening in healthcare, hospitals, and health insurance. It's just what the doctor ordered. The Health and Medicine Report, Monday through Wednesday on Time Warner Cable News New York 1.
Whoever said getting there is half the fun? Never experienced rush hour in New York City. But for the rest of us, there's the Rail and Road Report on New York 1. We can't make it fun, but we can make it easier with up-to-the-minute transit and traffic information. The Rail and Road Report, morning and evening rush hours at 8 and 38 past the hour on Time Warner Cable News, New York 1.
At this type of incident, it's always environmentally. We have concerns about the air. We put out a message about what to do. Keep your windows closed as much as possible while the fire is on. If you have any kind of concern, if you're asthmatic, any kind of medical needs, please, if you feel any distress, call 911 immediately. But again, keep your windows closed and limit your time outside as much as possible. We'll be dealing with the debris. We have a debris task force in place. We're trying to get rid of the debris as fast as possible also.
Welcome back. At least 19 people are injured after a fiery explosion in the East Village. What questions do you want answered in this investigation? Before we go back to the phones, a lot of pictures are coming in now. Let me get this one on the air. These two, actually, from a viewer named Larry. I'm assuming Larry was close by, right across the street, looks like, on 2nd Avenue. This is one picture. I'll scroll down, hopefully not too awkwardly, to reveal the fire activity down on the street level. This is a picture from Larry. There are flames in one picture, and here's another one he sent in. From the same perspective, I guess, sometime later. You can see what the fire department will call surround and drown. That's the effort going on right there. Maybe an hour or two afterwards, I would guess. I don't know. Larry, thank you for that. Spiro is in Jackson Heights and joins the call. Spiro, your reaction to this gas explosion?
Well, John, hey, I love you guys again. Always good. Thanks for having me on again. But,
thank you, Spiro.
You know, the thing is, I'm shocked and I'm frustrated and I'm scared like everybody else. But I mean, I really just got emotional looking at the footage. You know, this is what I saw. I saw New Yorkers helping New Yorkers. That's what I saw. I saw people picking people off the street, bloody and full of glass. You know, and I just got to say, I mean, sometimes we got to look at that because this could have been so much horribly worse. If this had happened at 8 p.m. tonight, we would be talking about triage right now. We wouldn't be talking about where people are going to sleep. You know?
Yeah, I'm still quite frankly stunned that there aren't more serious injuries. Looks like there was some time between the initial blast and then the subsequent fire. But to your point, Spiro, we on this program, as you know, host the New Yorker of the Week. So we're looking at these images the way you are. We're looking for the good always. And you're right, Spiro. There's a lot to be seen on some of these videos coming in.
Yeah.
Did we lose Spiro? Yes, we did. Sorry about that, Spiro. I was hoping to talk to you more. Let's go to another email here. It's coming in from, give me 1 second here, coming in from Ian. John, Con Edison needs to reinvest in its power and gas infrastructure. If you recall, a similar thing happened in Harlem last summer. Actually, it was I believe it was in March. As February or March. It was recently. The anniversary was recent. I'll continue. As the highest priced power utility in the nation, its responsibility to the safety of its customers should come before shareholder profits. The gorilla in the room won't be addressed until the city forces stricter fines and regulations on them. Ian, thank you for that. Once again, it's unclear if this is going to eventually be Con Edison's fault or the private contractor, or I guess there could obviously also be just a tragic accident that took place. But those are the three options, basically, unless something else develops in the next couple of hours. But Con Edison appears to say they were on the scene at 2 p.m. They failed the private contractor, inspected and failed the private contractor on the scene, left the scene, and the explosion happened about an hour and 20 minutes later. Ian, thanks. On Twitter, Jojo says, I have the same issue going on in my area. The digging of the ground by this utility company is beyond it. Jojo, thanks. Sydney's in Throgs Neck and joins the call. Sydney, how concerned are you about a gas-related incident where you live?
There's a gas smell on Southern Avenue, 173rd in the Bronx since last year. And
last year, okay. I'm assuming, I know you a little bit, Sydney, because you call this program a lot. I'm assuming you've called the authorities.
Yeah, it's next to my job, Throgs Neck, and I mean next to the Bronx Southern Hospital on the Morrisania section of the Bronx. And I did see Con Ed crews punching holes in certain parts of the street, little holes, trying to look with a meter to see if they get good readings. But apparently there's no digging, there's no fixing of anything because they went away. Every now and then I still get the gas odor. Another thing I want to say, I did share it with the community board who's nearby. I also want to say, in the previous years, in the Morrisania section of the Bronx, there was these private homes made with the gas gauges or meters on the outside of these homes with no fencing, no wall protection. They're exposed. I find that to be very dangerous because if a car jumps the curb, like we hear every now and then, the cars jump curbs and hit people, slam into buildings. If it slams into those pipes, those people in that house are going up. And I don't understand how homes like that could be made and nobody say anything, like the buildings, fire. I just don't understand how homes like that could be made. That's dangerous.
Sydney and Throgs Neck. Sydney, thank you. Just a quick point of clarification. We were going back and forth about the date of the explosion in East Harlem, March 12th. So the anniversary did just pass, the first anniversary. Jessica, Forest Hills, Queens. Jessica, what's on your mind tonight?
Hi, John. I'm actually a student at NYU, and I was in the train about 3:30 today at the 8th Street station. I got out. There was smell of smoke all over the train station. When I got outside, it was actually really hard to see, and I'm all the way on Broadway, not too close to 2nd Avenue, and the smog had traveled all the way there. Even inside the classroom on the 5th floor of our building in Tisch Hall, you could smell smoke. It smelled like something was burning. It was very hard to breathe. I think it was, a lot of people were confused. There were cars all over the place. But I definitely say the smoke and the smog was probably the biggest factor. Was there any communication from the MTA, any announcements on the train, any announcements on the platform? Also, same thing with NYU. Were you told what was going on, or do you have to figure it out by yourself? I actually just got out of the train, I think, when it was 3:30 when the fire had happened, so the MTA probably didn't get the signal at the moment. Okay. But NYU, same thing. Our professors were kind of shattered about it. A lot of the students live in dorms nearby. Sure. I'm actually in Forest Hills, so I commute, hence why I took the train in the morning. But I wasn't even, that close to the scene, but you could still see fog all over the place. I thought it was just a foggy day. But NYU police cars all over the place, security guards on action, so kind of got the city shattered a bit. Jessica, Forest Hills. Jessica, thank you. Take a break. Final thoughts when we return. Don't go away.
About 4 o'clock, we received 3 adult patients, 2 that are in serious condition, a male and a female, and another male who's in fair condition. I can't really elaborate. I mean, we approach any patient coming in from a building fire and a collapse that could have a whole variety of injuries.
Join the conversation. Call 1-866-NY1-TALK. Email the call at ny1.com or tweet us at NY1TheCall.
In a city with as many papers as New York, nobody has time to read them all, except for us.
Here's a look at what's in the morning papers.
We comb the papers from front to back to scope out the stories we think will catch your interest.
We want to start with the daily news.
And they're not always the headlines.
An interesting follow-up story in the paper this morning. It's on page 18.
Join us every morning for an inside look of what's in the papers. In the Papers is only available on Time Warner Cable News, New York 1.
Yo soy cubana.
Con calor.
I'm Chilean.
Chimpum, callao.
Habla serio.
I'm Dominican.
I'm a proud Puerto Rican.
Qué berraquera.
Yo soy española.
Órale.
Soy boricua.
Azúcar.
¿Y qué lo que?
Tato.
¿Mande?
I live in Queens.
Yo vivo en Harlem.
I live in the Bronx. Ay, bendito.
I live in Manhattan.
Soy de Nueva York. I'm a New Yorker.
Yo soy un New Yorker.
En Nueva York, los latinos somos uno. Latinos are one. Are one.
Somos uno.
In New York, Latinos are one.
Hi, I'm Neil Rosen, the film critic for New York 1. People know me for giving apples when I review movies, but it's gotten to the point where I'm being asked to rate everything. That ride was a little bumpy. I'm giving it 2 apples. Not bad. 3 apples. My compliments to the chef. 4 apples. Catch my movie reviews and celebrity interviews on New York 1. Keep practicing. Half a warmy apple.
Now on Local On Demand. Dramas, comedies, dramedies, action, thrillers, and more. There are hundreds of movies to choose from. Watch Talking Pictures On Demand for your inside guide to the best movies readily available on Time Warner Cable.
I'm Neil Rosen. Join me with my movie critic friends as we explore some of the best movies for you to enjoy on demand.
Talking Pictures On Demand. Watch it now on Time Warner Cable Local On Demand.
Welcome back. We have time for a few more thoughts tonight. Before we go back to the phones, I understand that we have some new video into the New York 1 newsroom. This video is courtesy the Fire Department of New York. I understand, I haven't seen it, we're watching it together for the first time, but I understand you're about to see one of these buildings collapse. This has obviously happened sometime into the fire, not just the explosion, but one of these 2 buildings, my understanding is we're about to watch it come down. There it is. The ground floor was a very popular restaurant in New York City, Pommes Frites. I've been there many times. Most New Yorkers who are out and about on the East Village will stop in that restaurant for some French fries at some point in their lifetime, and that restaurant is now gone. Miranda is in the East Village and joins the call with her thoughts. Miranda, your reaction to a busy, chaotic, emotional day in this city?
Hi, yeah, it was crazy. I was walking by the explosion when it happened. You don't even know what's happening. Your body just goes into this immediate fight or flight reaction. I just ran.
How close were you to the actual storefront?
I was standing next to. I was on 7th and 2nd. I was walking towards 3rd Avenue. I was maybe 10 feet in to the street. I was literally right next to the building that's about to collapse, and I was with a friend of mine, a whole pane of glass exploded onto us. Luckily, it was tempered glass, so it just sort of brushed us and hit us in the chest and the legs. And we just ran, and then we got halfway down the street, and the entire street was filled with gas, and everyone just kept screaming that there was a gas explosion. You had to run, and we went to the end of the street and just watched. It happened so fast that you don't even know what's happening.
Did you stick around until the fire started? It seemed to me, based on the video that I saw from a viewer named Blake, who put it up on his Facebook page wall, that there was some time, maybe several minutes, between the explosion and the actual fire starting. Help me understand how much time passed. You were there, I was not.
Yeah, I was there the entire time. I stayed for about 3 hours. It was literally the explosion happened, and then maybe about I'd say maybe 15 minutes later, you saw a little bit of smoke. I was trying to get into my building. I live next door. I was trying to get into my building to get my pet, who is still inside there, my cat. And they wouldn't, and they were like, you can go in, but we don't recommend it. And so I said no, but I'd say about 15 minutes for smoke, and then maybe like a half an hour until there was actual flames that you could see.
Miranda,
and then
East
it was
Village.
just chaos.
Chaos. Miranda, thank you for that perspective. Miriam's in the East Village as well, joining perhaps with her perspective. Miriam, what was your day like?
Well, I was sitting home watching television, and I heard a rumbling sound. It must have been around 3:15. And then my cousin called me, and I looked at the news, and I noticed there's a tall building in the corner, and I'm almost sure that my friend lives there, because one time I ran into her a while, actually 2 weeks ago, but she told me that she lived in the corner building. And the thing is, I haven't heard from her. I don't know her last name. That's the thing, because we run into each other once in a while.
What's her first name?
Mildred.
Mildred?
Her name is Mildred.
Okay.
And she's of African American and Puerto Rican descent, and she has short hair. I just want to know if she's okay. I'm really worried about her. I can't walk around that much because I recently had an accident last month. So I just want to know that if Mildred is okay. I'm worried about her.
Miriam from the East Village, thank you for that. I guess I can point you to PS 63, which is open in your neighborhood as an emergency assistance center. And also, the city is welcoming phone calls to 311 if you're looking for someone. But as of this afternoon, the mayor said that there is no one considered missing. No one has reported anyone missing. It's quite amazing. I guess the 15 minutes that I guess the caller before Miriam, it was Miranda. I guess Miranda had said, what, 15 minutes passed? And maybe that's why so many people were able to get out of the neighboring buildings. We have about a minute to go in this program. It's a likely topic tomorrow night as well. We'll see what develops as far as the news is concerned. But on Twitter, I want to get this final thought in from a viewer named Dima. No mention at all today of the landlord's responsibility. Dima, it's a great question, and one I'm sure we'll learn more about as this investigation moves forward. Oh my goodness, while someone's talking, this is amazing. We just got a tweet here that says Mildred is okay. She is our parishioner at Keep Nativity Open. I hope you didn't hang up, Miriam, because Mildred is okay, according to Keep Nativity Open. Amazing television. That's all the time we have for now. You can read the viewer emails online at ny1.com. Look for the link to our blog. You can also follow us on Twitter at ny1. The call will follow you back. I'm John Schumo, and I'll talk with you tomorrow.